Every day, you have a choice. You either feed your habits or starve them. Choose wisely, because the habits you nurture today become the foundation of your tomorrow. A millionaire's routine doesn't guarantee riches overnight, but it guarantees growth. The kind of growth that compounds quietly and powerfully, building strength, discipline, and resilience. You cannot out-earn a bad routine. Money rewards those who master their minds, not just their wallets. The truth is, wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in the bank. If you want to move from scarcity to wealth, from poverty thinking to powerful habits, it starts here. Remember, rich routines, not riches, make you wealthy. Let's begin that journey today. You know, when I first started out, I used to think that my paycheck was simply a reflection of how many hours I worked. I'd count the hours, punch the clock, and believe that if I just put in more time, I'd get more money. But the truth is much different. You don't get paid by the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. It's not about how long you work, it's about how well you work and what you offer during that time. If you're just busy, running in circles, and doing the same thing day in and day out, you're limiting your potential. But if you increase your value, if you become someone who delivers more than expected, you change the game entirely. Now, what does it mean to increase your value? It means investing in yourself, in your mind, and your skills. Too many people focus only on the clock. They say, I worked 40 hours this week. But what did you do during those 40 hours? Were you learning? Were you growing? Were you becoming better? Wealth is a direct result of how much value you create, not just the time you spend. And the way to increase that value is through personal growth. Growth is the multiplier of time. If you spend 10 hours a week on the same skill, but never improve it, you remain the same. But if you spend just 30 minutes a day learning a new high-income skill over a year, that's nearly 200 hours of focused improvement. That transforms your worth. Let me tell you something from my own experience. When I was 25, broke and without a plan, I didn't have much money to invest, but I did have time, and I chose to invest it in learning. Every day, I devoted at least 30 minutes to reading, studying, and practicing skills that would make me more valuable. I learned the art of communication, sales, and leadership. These skills didn't just increase my income, they changed my entire mindset. They made me see opportunities where others saw obstacles. That daily discipline of growth was my secret weapon. And here's a practical truth you can apply today. It doesn't have to be grandiose or complicated. Start small. Spend 30 minutes a day learning something new that can boost your income potential. Maybe it's improving how you communicate, mastering a software, understanding investing, or building a sales skill. The point is, every hour you invest in personal growth pays dividends far beyond the clock. It makes you more valuable to your employer, to your customers, or to your own business. Think about the people who earn the most money. They're not the ones who simply put in more hours. They are the ones who bring more value in less time. They've learned to do things others can't, to solve problems others won't, and to offer results others don't. And the secret is they never stop learning. They see themselves as works in progress. You have to see yourself the same way. If you want to break free from the poverty mindset, you have to stop selling your time and start selling your value. Time is limited, but value is infinite. You can grow it endlessly by feeding your mind with knowledge and your skills with practice. It's a choice you make daily. Will you be a clock watcher or a value creator? So, the first step is simple but powerful. Commit to 30 minutes of focused learning every day. Protect that time as fiercely as you protect your paycheck, because that small, consistent investment in yourself compounds, just like money in the bank. It builds a foundation that no one can take away from you. And when you raise your value, the money will follow. You don't get paid for your time, you get paid for your value. Remember that, and you're already on your way. That's the real freedom, knowing your worth and making it grow. You see, wealth or poverty, it all begins in the mind, long before it ever touches your bank account. Poverty starts in the mind. It's born in the attitude of blame, excuses, and avoiding responsibility. When I first began my journey, I noticed a pattern in the people around me. Those who struggled financially often spoke a language of excuses. They blamed the economy, their upbringing, bad luck, or even other people for their situation. And they believed those excuses so deeply, they never stepped outside of them. That, my friend, is poverty thinking. It's a dangerous place to live because it traps you in a cycle of helplessness and stagnation. Now contrast that with the mindset of wealth. Wealth begins with responsibility, taking ownership of your choices, your mistakes, and your future. It's not about blaming the world or waiting for something to change outside of yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, this is my life, and I am responsible for it. This shift from blame to responsibility is the foundation of true financial freedom. When you accept responsibility, you empower yourself. You see, responsibility is not a burden. It's a power that frees you from being a victim and transforms you into a leader of your own life. Let me be honest with you. Early on, I made plenty of financial mistakes. I borrowed money I couldn't repay. I spent without a plan. I lived beyond my means. And at first, I blamed my circumstances. But one day, something shifted. I realized that blaming didn't fix anything. The only way out was to take ownership of my errors, learn from them, and change my habits. So, I began journaling, not just the successes, but the failures too. I wrote down every financial mistake I made, and more importantly, what it taught me. This simple practice was revolutionary because it forced me to confront the truth instead of hiding from it. It helped me turn mistakes into lessons and lessons into growth. And here's something you can do right now. Take a moment to write down one financial mistake you've made. Maybe it was overspending, neglecting to save, or trusting the wrong advice. Then, write down what you've learned from it. This isn't about shame or guilt. It's about clarity and ownership. When you see your mistakes on paper, they lose their power to control you. You begin to understand how to avoid them in the future. You transform pain into progress. When you stop blaming and start owning your financial reality, you become a different person. You become someone who designs their future instead of reacting to their past. You become the architect of your wealth, not a tenant of poverty, because poverty isn't just a lack of money, it's a lack of responsibility. And wealth isn't just about having money, it's about having the mindset to handle money wisely. So, let this be your turning point today. If you've been stuck in a cycle of excuses, know that the door to freedom opens with responsibility. It's not easy. It takes courage to face the truth about your financial habits, but it's necessary. When you claim responsibility, you reclaim your power. And that's where real wealth begins. Take that step. Journal your mistakes. Own your story. And watch how that simple act shifts your thinking and your future. Because when your mind changes, your money follows. Responsibility isn't just a word, it's the key to unlocking everything you desire. You know, one of the biggest differences I've seen between those who build lasting wealth and those who struggle is how they approach each day. Rich people plan daily. Poor people react daily. It sounds simple, but the implications run deep. Wealth is not a surprise, it's a plan. When you leave your finances to chance, you are inviting chaos. When you decide to plan, you're choosing control. Think about this. Life will throw unexpected things your way no matter what. Emergencies, opportunities, setbacks. If you wake up every day without a plan, you'll find yourself chasing those moments, reacting to whatever happens, rather than steering the ship. And that's where poverty thinking sets in. Reacting is living on the back foot, always one step behind. But when you make planning a daily habit, you take charge of your future one small step at a time. I remember early in my life when money was tight and I felt overwhelmed by bills and expenses. It seemed like there was never enough time or resources to keep up. But then I started something simple that changed everything. Every morning, for just 10 minutes, I would review my income, my expenses, and remind myself of my financial goals. I didn't have to overhaul my entire life in one day. I just checked where I was and where I wanted to be. This small daily ritual became my anchor. It kept me focused and prevented me from drifting into mindless spending or panic. And it's not about creating a complicated budget that takes hours to manage. It's about awareness. How much did I make yesterday? What bills are coming due? What's my plan for the money I have? What's one thing I can do today to move closer to my goals? That daily review planted seeds of discipline and intention. Over time, those seeds grew into habits that shaped my financial destiny. Now, I want you to try it. Each morning, set aside 10 minutes. Grab your notebook or your phone. Write down your income and expenses. Look at your goals, whether it's paying off debt, saving for a home, or investing in your future. Ask yourself, what small action can I take today that'll bring me closer to financial freedom? That's the difference between living in reaction and living in purpose. When you build this daily habit, you're not just managing money, you're training your mind to think like a wealthy person. You're learning to see money as a tool, not a mystery. You're creating a rhythm of intention and control, and that rhythm will carry you through tough times. Because when life surprises you, you'll have a plan to lean on. Remember, wealth doesn't come as a sudden windfall. It's the product of consistent, deliberate action. When you plan daily, you move from being a passenger in your financial journey to being the driver. And that is the power that turns dreams into realities. Start today. Make planning your first act each morning, and watch how your life begins to change. Wealth isn't a surprise, it's a plan, and that plan begins with you. If you don't design your life, someone else will. That truth hits harder than most realize. Life is constantly moving, pulling you in different directions, and if you don't set your own course, you'll find yourself living out someone else's plan, whether it's your employer's, your family's, or society's expectations. Wealth builders understand this deeply. They are intentional. They don't drift through life waiting for fortune or opportunity to knock. They build a lifestyle by design, not by default. When I first grasped this idea, it changed the way I saw everything. You see, it's easy to fall into the trap of just reacting to life, taking the job that's available, spending money on what seems convenient, letting days slip by without a clear purpose. But that kind of existence never builds lasting wealth or freedom. Wealth is not just about money. It's about living a life you create consciously, with vision and purpose. Imagine a house without blueprints, no architect, no plan. It might go up, but it won't stand the test of time. Your life is no different. If you don't have a vision, if you don't set goals and outline your financial future, you're building on shaky ground. When I was starting out, I took the time to sit down and write a one-year vision and a 5-year vision for my finances and my life. It wasn't a rigid contract, but a guide, a North Star that kept me focused through distractions and setbacks. Creating these visions forces you to look beyond today's struggles and imagine what you really want. It brings clarity to your choices. Suddenly, the things you spend money on, the jobs you take, the habits you form, they either align with your vision or they don't. And that clarity gives you power to say no to distractions and yes to opportunities. A 1-year plan grounds you in the immediate actions you need to take, saving more, learning skills, cutting unnecessary expenses. The 5-year vision stretches your mind, asking, where do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to lead? It's a commitment to growth, to stepping into your future self, rather than staying stuck where you are. I encourage you to take that step now. Write down where you want to be financially in 1 year. What's your savings goal? What debts do you want cleared? What skills will you develop? Then, think bigger. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Visualize the lifestyle, the freedom, the peace that comes with financial security. Put it on paper. Make it real. Because if you don't design your life, someone else will do it for you, and usually, it's not in your favor. When you build with intention, you build with power. You build a life of wealth, not just riches, but richness in meaning, freedom, and purpose. Design your life. Own your future. The choice is yours. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. That's a lesson I learned early on, and it stuck with me through every challenge and success. You see, the weight of discipline, the small, daily efforts we make, is light. It's manageable. But the burden of regret, the heaviness of missed opportunities and poor choices, that can crush a person's spirit and hold them back for years. Many believe that wealth or success comes from some grand, heroic act, a big decision, or a sudden windfall. But the truth is different. It's the small things done consistently over time that build the foundation of real, lasting wealth. 1 pound of effort every day beats 100 pounds of effort once in a while. This is why discipline, though often overlooked, is the secret weapon of the wealthy. Imagine a scale. On one side, the ounces of discipline you carry every day, saving a little, learning a bit, investing consistently, resisting impulses. On the other side, the tons of regret that pile up when you ignore these small choices. The problem is, regret feels invisible until it's too heavy to bear. But discipline, though light, if neglected, can leave you carrying that heavy load. The challenge is consistency, not intensity. Many start with great enthusiasm, diets, budgets, exercise, but quickly burn out because they try to do too much at once. Instead, the goal is to make small, steady progress. Build a habit of discipline in manageable steps. 30 minutes a day learning a skill. Saving a small portion of income. Reviewing your financial goals each morning. These ounces add up. One practical way to build this consistency is through a habit tracker. For 30 days, keep a simple record of the habits you want to develop. Did you save today? Did you avoid an unnecessary purchase? Did you spend time growing your skills? This daily accountability creates awareness, builds momentum, and turns discipline from a chore into a routine. I remember when I started tracking my own habits. It was humbling. Some days I missed the mark, but the habit tracker kept me honest and motivated. Over time, those small wins built confidence and growth far beyond what I expected. So remember, discipline feels light because it's meant to be manageable. Regret feels heavy because it's the cost of neglect. Choose the ounces of discipline today and lighten the load of tomorrow. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Carry the light weight and free yourself from the heavy burden. The choice is yours. You must act the part before you become the part. This is a truth that's both simple and profound, one I discovered early in my own journey. Wealth is not just a matter of numbers in a bank account, it's a state of mind. Before you can truly become wealthy, you have to start thinking, behaving, and living like the person you want to be. Many people wait for some external signal, a raise, a big break, a lucky chance, before they start acting differently. But that's like waiting for the train to arrive before buying a ticket. The mindset shift must come first. If you want to be a millionaire, you must live like one in your habits, your discipline, your daily routine. You can't just sit back hoping wealth will find you. You have to step into that role and own it now. I remember when I was just starting out, broke and uncertain about the future. I didn't have much money, but I decided to wake up early every day. I used that quiet time to read, reflect, and plan. I wrote down my goals and scheduled my days carefully. I didn't wait until I was successful to do these things. I did them to become successful. This kind of discipline, this daily practice, trains your mind. It builds confidence, focus, and momentum. It's like rehearsing for a role in a play. If you want to be the lead, you have to practice every line, every movement before the curtain rises. Your actions train your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your reality. Waking up early is more than just a routine. It's a statement that you're in control. Reading daily fuels your mind with new ideas and wisdom. Scheduling your goals turns vague wishes into concrete steps. These are the habits of the wealthy, regardless of your current bank balance. So, don't wait to become the person you want to be. Start acting the part now. The mind must lead the way before the wealth will follow. Begin living with purpose, with discipline, with the habits of success, and watch how your life begins to change. You know, there's a powerful trap that many fall into when it comes to learning about money and success. They consume knowledge endlessly. They read books, attend seminars, watch videos, but somehow they never seem to get ahead. The problem isn't in learning. It's in what they do with what they learn. Don't let your learning lead only to knowledge. Let it lead to action. Because knowledge alone doesn't create wealth. Only applied knowledge does. I remember when I first started studying financial principles, I was hungry to learn, soaking up every lesson I could find. But it wasn't until I began putting those lessons into practice, applying just one new idea at a time, that my life started to change. Reading about saving money is useful, but actually setting aside a portion of your income every paycheck, that's when your financial picture begins to shift. Learning is like planting a seed. If you just read about how to plant it and never put that seed into the soil, it will never grow. But if you take the knowledge and plant it, water it, nurture it, watch it daily, then you start to see fruit. The same principle applies to wealth building. Knowledge without action is like a car without fuel. It looks good, but it won't take you anywhere. The secret is to learn, apply, refine, and repeat. You don't have to be perfect the first time. The most successful people are those who take imperfect action consistently. For example, maybe you read a book that talks about budgeting. Don't just close the book and say, "That was interesting." Take out your bank statements and create a budget right now. Or you learn about investing. Open a small account and start investing even a little. Then learn from the results and adjust. In my early days, I was a voracious reader, but often got overwhelmed. Then a mentor told me, "Jim, pick one thing from every book and make it your action step for the week." That simple advice changed everything. I began to build momentum. With each small step, confidence grew, and so did my financial results. Remember, it's not about how much you know, it's about what you do with what you know. It's easy to get stuck in the comfort zone of accumulating knowledge because it feels productive. But real progress comes when you step out and apply those lessons, even if it's just one action at a time. You'll find that when you act on what you learn, you begin to see your circumstances change. Doors open, new opportunities arise, and your mindset shifts from being a student of money to being a master of your money. That's the transformation that leads to true wealth. So I encourage you, for every book you read or every video you watch, implement one concrete action. Write it down, schedule it, commit to it, because action is the bridge between dreams and reality. Without it, knowledge is wasted potential. You want to move from poverty thinking to wealth building? Don't just learn, do. Because only applied education creates lasting wealth. And that is the principle that separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. Your bank account is not just a number, it is a reflection of your philosophy, not your potential. Too many people look at their finances and mistake that as the ultimate truth about who they are or what they can become. But the reality is, your bank balance reveals your current mindset and beliefs about money, not the full extent of your capability or potential to create wealth. It reflects the stories you tell yourself about money, your habits, and your mindset. I've seen it countless times. People with enormous talent, drive, and creativity stuck in a cycle of financial struggle because of limiting beliefs. They might think, money's hard to come by, or I'm just not meant to be wealthy, or rich people are greedy. These beliefs shape how they act, how they spend, how they save, or don't save. Their bank accounts simply mirror these deeply held thoughts. And if those beliefs are negative, their finances remain stagnant or even decline. But here's the good news. Your financial reality can change the moment you change your philosophy, because what you believe becomes what you build. The man or woman who believes in abundance, who sees money as a tool for growth and opportunity, will naturally build habits and actions that increase their wealth. It's not magic, it's mindset. And mindset is something you can work on every day. I remember early in my own journey, there were beliefs I had to confront and replace. For instance, I used to think, I don't have enough to start investing. That belief kept me stuck. But when I shifted it to, I can start small, learn as I go, and build from there, I opened the door to opportunity. That small change in thinking led me to consistent saving, learning, and eventually to real growth. So here's a practical step for you. Take a moment right now to write down 5 beliefs you have about money. Be honest. Don't judge yourself. Just observe what you really think. Now look at that list and ask, which of these beliefs serve you? Which ones limit you? And for those limiting beliefs, write down a new belief to replace them. For example, if you wrote, money is scarce, replace it with, money flows freely to those who create value. If you think I'm not good with money, replace it with, I'm learning to manage my money wisely every day. Changing your beliefs isn't always easy. It's like changing the foundation of a building while you're still living inside it. But it's necessary. Your thoughts shape your feelings shape your actions, and your actions shape your financial results. If you want your bank account to grow, start by growing your belief system. Remember, your bank account right now is not your potential. It's the reflection of your current money philosophy. And you have the power to change that philosophy, starting today. Your wealth is waiting on the other side of a shift in thinking. Change your mind, change your money. Failure is not a single event. It's not some catastrophic moment that strikes out of the blue. No, failure is much quieter than that. It is a few errors in judgment repeated daily, one small misstep after another, until those small mistakes add up and form a mountain too steep to climb. It's the slow drip of poor habits, bad choices, and unchecked impulses that create a life of struggle and financial hardship. Poverty isn't born overnight. It's built, piece by piece, through repeated routines that don't serve us. I learned this lesson early on in my journey when I looked at my financial struggles and realized they were not random or unlucky moments. They were patterns. The late nights spent indulging in unnecessary purchases, the failure to track expenses, the mindset that I'll start saving tomorrow. Those were the real culprits. When I took a step back, I saw that my failures weren't because of some one-time event, but because of the daily habits I allowed to control me. The good news is that if failure is built on poor routines, then success is built on good routines. You can reverse engineer your results. Look at where you stand financially and then trace back to the habits that created that reality. Maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck because you never track your spending. Maybe you find yourself in debt because you say yes to every impulse buy. Whatever the habits, they are clues you can use to change your direction. So here is a practical step for you. Identify one habit that's costing you money every day. It could be skipping your savings transfer. It could be grabbing an expensive coffee. It could be letting your subscriptions pile up unchecked. Whatever it is, name it. Write it down. Then make a firm decision to eliminate that habit starting today. Remember, small daily changes compound. Eliminate one destructive habit, and you'll be surprised how quickly your financial situation begins to shift. Failure isn't a punishment. It's a pattern, and patterns can be broken. You don't have to be a victim of your past mistakes. You can become the master of your daily decisions. Change your habits, change your life. You can't make progress without tracking. It's one of those truths in life that sounds simple, almost obvious, yet it's profoundly ignored by many who want financial success but never quite reach it. You see, when you're trying to improve anything, be it your health, your relationships, or your finances, the first step is always awareness. How do you know where you're going if you don't know where you stand? Without measuring your progress, you are essentially driving in the dark without headlights. And I promise you, that's a dangerous journey. When I began to learn about money and wealth, one of the most powerful lessons I received was this: what gets measured improves. It means that whatever you pay attention to, whatever you keep track of, you will naturally improve over time. This is not just a financial principle, but a universal law of growth. If you want to grow your money, you must first know what money you have, where it is coming from, and where it is going. Otherwise, it just slips through your fingers like sand, unnoticed and unaccounted for. The concept of becoming the CEO of your personal finances is crucial. Think about a company's CEO. That person does not run their business based on guesswork or wishful thinking. They analyze reports, study numbers, track sales and expenses, understand profits and losses, and then make strategic decisions. Why? Because they want to grow the company and ensure its survival. If you want to build wealth, you must become the CEO of your own financial world. You must take command and responsibility. That means knowing your net worth, your income, your expenses, and your cash flow, and reviewing these regularly. Early in my own life, I made the mistake of not tracking my finances. I was making money, but I didn't know how much I had or where it went. It felt like I was spinning my wheels, working hard but not moving forward. It was frustrating and discouraging. Then I began to track every dollar. At first, it was tedious, but over time, it became a habit that changed everything. I started seeing patterns where I was wasting money, where I could cut back, and where I could invest. That clarity gave me power. It gave me control. And when you have control, you can make wise choices instead of reacting to circumstances. Tracking your finances means understanding two essential things. your net worth, and your cash flow. Net worth is the simplest way to know your financial health. It's the difference between what you own, your assets, and what you owe, your liabilities. It's a snapshot of your current financial position. Cash flow, on the other hand, shows you the movement of money in and out. It's the flow of income and expenses. By reviewing your net worth and cash flow each month, you can see whether you're progressing or regressing. When you don't track, you're at the mercy of habits, often unconscious ones, that lead you down the path of scarcity. Small leaks in your finances add up. That daily coffee, the impulsive purchase, the unnoticed subscription, these little things, when not tracked, slowly drain your resources. But when you keep a record, those leaks become obvious. You become aware, and awareness leads to change. I remember a story from a friend who once confessed that he never tracked his expenses. He thought he had a good handle on his money because he paid his bills and saved some each month. But when he sat down and listed every expense for a month, he was shocked at how much was wasted on unnecessary things. That awareness motivated him to make small changes, cutting back on dining out, avoiding impulse buys, and setting aside more for savings and investments. Over time, those small adjustments created a big difference. You see, tracking is not about being perfect or obsessive. It's about being honest and intentional. It's about knowing where you are so you can plan where you want to go. Without this practice, you're like a captain sailing a ship without a compass. You might move, but you have no idea if you're heading toward your destination or toward danger. Once you become diligent about tracking your finances, you also build discipline. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. It's what separates those who wish for wealth and those who actually create it. When you track, you're holding yourself accountable. You're seeing the impact of your decisions and can adjust course before problems grow too large. I encourage you to make tracking a monthly habit. At the end of each month, sit down and review your income, your expenses, your savings, and your investments. Calculate your net worth. Look for trends. Are your expenses growing? Is your income increasing? Are you saving enough? These questions guide you to make smart decisions. They keep you focused on your financial goals instead of drifting aimlessly. In today's world, tracking is easier than ever with technology, apps, spreadsheets, online banking. But it all begins with the mindset that your money deserves the same care and attention you would give to any valuable asset. Money is a tool, but it's a tool that needs supervision. When you neglect it, it wanders off. When you tend it, it grows. Let me remind you, progress without tracking is just hope. Hope can inspire you for a while, but hope without action is a slow path to disappointment. You want to create momentum. You want to see results. And that begins with honest measurement. As you take control and track your finances, you'll also develop confidence. There's a special peace that comes from knowing exactly where you stand. No more guesswork. No more anxiety about bills or savings. Instead, you'll find clarity and purpose. You'll understand what you need to do next, and you'll be able to celebrate your progress. Money management is not about luck or talent. It's about daily choices, repeated consistently over time. Tracking your finances is one of those choices that can transform your entire financial life. It's a discipline that will pay dividends in peace of mind, growth, and ultimately, freedom. So start today. Find a quiet moment, get your bank statements, bills, and receipts, and begin listing your income and expenses. Calculate your net worth. Don't be discouraged if the numbers aren't where you want them. That's just the starting line. What matters is that you've taken the first step to become the master of your money, not its servant. The journey to wealth is not mysterious. It's simply the path of discipline, responsibility, and awareness. And the foundation of all of it is this one practice. Track your progress and you will improve. That is where true financial power begins. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. When I say this, I'm not talking about grand gestures or sudden dramatic changes. True success, the kind that builds lasting wealth, is rooted in the small, consistent actions you repeat day after day. It's simple, yes, but simplicity doesn't mean it's easy. The magic is in the daily commitment, the quiet routines that often go unnoticed, yet build the foundation for everything you desire. Many people search for complicated formulas or shortcuts, believing that success must be complex. But in my experience, it's quite the opposite. The greatest fortunes aren't the product of one massive windfall. They come from disciplined habits carried out consistently over time. I've witnessed people transform their financial lives simply by showing up for themselves every day, by choosing to take a small step forward instead of standing still or giving in to distractions. When I was younger, I didn't have much money. I didn't have a flashy plan or a secret investment. What I did have was a routine, one that involved waking up early, reading a bit about finance or personal development, and reflecting on my goals. That discipline of reviewing my vision every morning, even for just 5 minutes, gave me clarity and focus. It was like setting the compass before starting a journey. Without that, I would have been vulnerable to distractions, doubts, and impulses that could have easily derailed me. Creating a wealth routine means designing a set of daily disciplines so integral to your life that skipping them feels unnatural. It could be as simple as taking those 5 minutes each morning to remind yourself of your financial goals. What do you want to achieve? Why are you doing this? Who are you becoming through this journey? These questions keep you anchored. When you keep your vision alive, daily, your subconscious mind begins to work on solutions. Your focus sharpens, and decisions become easier. Think about this. A habit is formed by repeating an action over time. But a powerful habit isn't just about repetition. It's about intentionality. It's about waking up with purpose, knowing that each small discipline, each deliberate choice, is a building block of your future. Wealth doesn't come from luck. It comes from this persistent daily action. People often underestimate the power of routine because it seems so ordinary. But imagine a farmer planting seeds. No single seed produces a harvest overnight. It's the consistent care, watering, fertilizing, protecting, that leads to growth. Your financial habits are the seeds you plant every day. Whether it's saving a small amount, learning something new, or reviewing your budget, these simple disciplines accumulate into wealth. I remember coaching someone who struggled for years because they were trying to overhaul everything at once. They wanted to read dozens of books, attend countless seminars, and make sweeping changes. But it overwhelmed them, and progress stalled. What changed was when they committed to a routine, just 5 minutes a day to focus on their financial goals. Slowly, this routine brought momentum. It cleared the fog of confusion and gave them confidence to make better decisions. Consistency beats intensity every time. It's better to do something small daily than to burst with energy once in a while and then fade. That's why creating a routine you never skip is a game changer. It builds trust with yourself, it builds momentum, and it builds results. Success is accessible to anyone who will commit to these daily disciplines. It's not reserved for the gifted, the lucky, or the wealthy. It's available to the person who decides today to stop drifting and start designing their life through simple, purposeful actions. So, I encourage you now to create your wealth routine. It can be as straightforward as setting aside 5 minutes every morning to read your financial goals, review your budget, or reflect on one action you'll take that day toward building wealth. Make it non-negotiable. Make it sacred. When this becomes part of your daily rhythm, you'll be amazed at how your mindset shifts, how your confidence grows, and how your life changes. Remember, success is simple, but simple doesn't mean effortless. The discipline to show up every day is what separates those who dream from those who do. So commit today. Create your routine. Practice your disciplines, because your wealth, your future, and your freedom depend on the habits you build now. And that commitment will carry you further than any fleeting inspiration ever could. Money flows to clarity. Confusion repels it. This is a truth I've learned over and over again, and it's one that separates those who seem to attract wealth effortlessly from those who struggle year after year. You see, money is like water. It follows the path of least resistance. When your financial life is clear, when you know exactly where your income comes from, what your debts are, and where your money is going, the flow begins. But when confusion reigns, money finds every excuse to slip away, and scarcity tightens its grip. I remember early in my own life when my finances were a mess. Bills scattered, accounts in different places, and no real plan. I was trying to manage things in my head, juggling numbers like a circus act, hoping I wouldn't drop the ball. But that chaos bred anxiety, and anxiety blocks flow. I couldn't think clearly, couldn't make good decisions, and money seemed to vanish without notice. It was a constant battle, not just with my finances, but with my own peace of mind. It was only when I took the time to get clear that things changed. I sat down, gathered every piece of financial information, every bill, every bank statement, every debt notice, every paycheck stub. I organized it all in one place, a simple spreadsheet. And from that clarity, something shifted inside me. Suddenly, I wasn't reacting to bills or worrying about expenses anymore. I was managing my money. I knew where every dollar came from and where it needed to go. That clarity was the foundation of my financial freedom. Lack of clarity is the root of scarcity because it creates fear and indecision. When you don't know what you owe or what you own, you can't plan. When your income streams are a mystery, you can't grow them. When your debts are hidden in piles of paper or lost emails, they become monsters in your mind, preventing you from taking control. But when you bring everything into the light, those monsters shrink and you gain power over them. Getting clear about your financial situation is not just a practical step. It's a mindset shift. It's a declaration that you are ready to take responsibility for your money. It's the difference between drifting in the dark and steering your ship by the stars. With clarity, you can see your true financial picture, spot opportunities, and make wise decisions. Without it, you're sailing blind. So here's the strategy that I've seen work time and again. Gather all your accounts, debts, income sources, and expenses. Get them in one place where you can see them at a glance. Whether it's a notebook, a spreadsheet, or a financial app, the tool doesn't matter as much as the habit of clarity itself. Once organized, review this regularly. Know your cash flow, your liabilities, and your assets. This is your financial map. The practical step is simple but powerful. Take one afternoon or evening to collect all your financial information. List every bank account, every credit card, every loan, every source of income. Put it into a single spreadsheet. Track your monthly income and expenses. This exercise alone will reveal patterns, leaks, and hidden opportunities. It will empower you to make informed choices and to build a budget that works. Remember, money flows to clarity because clarity signals readiness. When you are clear about your finances, you signal to yourself and to the universe that you are prepared to receive and manage wealth. Confusion, on the other hand, signals hesitation and fear, which repels abundance. This clarity is not just about numbers. It's about your mindset. It teaches you discipline, responsibility, and foresight. And as you practice clarity, you build confidence. Confidence breeds action, and action attracts results. This is the path out of scarcity and into abundance. In the end, money is simply a tool. It's neutral, flowing where you allow it to flow. If you want it to flow toward you, you must create clear, organized channels for it to travel. Confusion clogs those channels, but clarity opens them wide. So, take that step today. Organize your finances, get clear on your situation, and watch how the flow of money begins to follow your lead. Because when your financial life is clear, you're not just managing money, you're mastering it. You see, one of the greatest truths about success and wealth is this: your environment shapes your outcomes. It's not just about your ideas or your efforts, though those are crucial. It's also about the people and surroundings that influence you every single day. We often underestimate how much our environment quietly, yet powerfully, molds our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. I've found through experience that you truly are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That means if you spend your days with people who are financially wise, motivated, and focused on growth, you'll naturally begin to think, act, and live like they do. But if your closest companions are caught in cycles of scarcity, excuses, or poor financial habits, that will drag you down faster than any external challenge. Early on in my journey, I didn't fully appreciate this. I tried to improve my finances by myself, thinking it was purely an internal battle of discipline and knowledge. But I noticed my progress was slow, and old habits kept pulling me back. Then I started spending time with people who valued financial education, who read books, talked about goals, and shared strategies. Their mindset rubbed off on me. They challenged me to raise my standards, to think bigger, and to stay accountable. The change in my environment sparked a change in my results. Surrounding yourself with financially wise people is not about showing off or keeping company just for appearances. It's about immersing yourself in a culture that encourages growth, responsibility, and vision. It's about being around those who inspire you to push past poverty thinking and adopt wealth-building habits. This kind of environment provides support when you stumble and motivation when you feel like quitting. In today's world, it's easier than ever to find communities focused on wealth building. You don't have to limit yourself to your immediate neighborhood or circle of friends. There are countless online groups, forums, podcasts, and social networks where like-minded people gather to learn, share, and grow together. Joining one of these groups can introduce you to new ideas, hold you accountable, and keep your goals front and center. The practical step is simple but transformative. Seek out a community, whether local or virtual, that prioritizes financial wisdom and growth, and make it a regular part of your life. Remember, environments don't just influence you, they shape your habits, your language, and your identity. When you surround yourself with those who think and act like millionaires, you start acting like a millionaire. When you spend time with those who see opportunity instead of obstacles, you begin to see opportunities everywhere. The environment you choose to inhabit becomes the soil in which your financial future either flourishes or withers. So take a look around. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they lifting you up towards your financial goals or pulling you down into old patterns? Your future depends heavily on that answer. Choose your environment wisely, because your financial destiny is being quietly written every day by the people you allow to influence you. When it comes to wealth, many people think it's all about how much money you make. They believe that if they just had a bigger paycheck, everything else would fall into place. But I've learned, and I want you to hear this clearly, that true wealth isn't just about making a living. It's about designing a lifestyle. It's about the choices you make every day that shape not only your bank account, but your happiness, your purpose, and your freedom. Wealth, in its fullest sense, is about the life you live, not just the numbers in your account. You see, making a living is reactive. You work to cover expenses, pay bills, maybe save a little, but it's often without a clear vision of what you want your life to truly look like. Designing a lifestyle, on the other hand, is proactive. It's about deciding what kind of life you want to live and then aligning your financial decisions, your habits, and your goals to make that a reality. It's about living with intention. This means that money becomes a tool to support your purpose, your values, and your dreams, not the other way around. When I first started, I was caught in the cycle of working for money without a vision. I had no clear idea of what my ideal day looked like. I was stuck trading time for dollars, living paycheck to paycheck, and always feeling like I was behind. But then I began to think differently. I started imagining what my perfect day would look like. Not just how much I wanted to earn, but how I wanted to spend my time, who I wanted to be with, what kind of work would fulfill me, and how I could contribute to others. That vision became my compass. Here's the practical step I want you to take. Sit down and write out your ideal day. Be specific. What time do you wake up? What do you do? Where are you? Who's with you? What activities fill your hours? Once you have that clear picture, break it down and take one small step toward that lifestyle every week. It could be as simple as setting aside 30 minutes daily for a passion project, or creating a budget that reflects your values rather than just covering expenses. Remember, wealth is about choices. When you choose to design your lifestyle, you take control of your financial journey. You stop reacting to circumstances and start creating the life you want, one deliberate decision at a time. Don't just make a living. Design a lifestyle that reflects who you are and where you want to go. Let me share something fundamental about wealth. True financial growth doesn't come from what you buy, but from what you own. It's a simple truth that many overlook in the rush to acquire things that look good but don't build your future. You see, being wealthy isn't about how many possessions you accumulate. It's about becoming a buyer of assets, not liabilities. That's a powerful mindset shift because it separates those who are building lasting wealth from those who are caught in the cycle of spending without return. What do I mean by assets and liabilities? An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, whether it's investments, rental properties, a business, or skills that generate income. A liability, on the other hand, takes money out of your pocket. Things like fancy cars, designer clothes, expensive gadgets. These often drain your resources because they require ongoing costs without generating any income. The wealthy understand this well. They focus on acquiring ownership, on building income-producing resources that grow over time. Early in my own journey, I made the mistake of chasing liabilities. I wanted the latest car, the best clothes, and the comforts that seemed to define success. But every time I spent money on these, I felt a little poorer afterward, not richer. Then I shifted my focus. I started thinking long-term. Instead of spending on a new luxury, I delayed gratification and put that money toward buying books, investing in skills, or even a small piece of equipment for a side business. Those choices began to pay dividends. Here's a practical step for you today. The next time you feel tempted to make a luxury purchase, pause and ask yourself if that money could be better invested in an asset that works for you. Maybe it's an extra contribution to a retirement fund, buying a share in a business, or enrolling in a course to build a valuable skill. Delay the impulse and instead invest it. That simple decision, repeated consistently, builds wealth over time. Because remember, wealth comes from ownership. When you become a buyer of assets, you're not just accumulating things, you're creating a financial foundation that supports freedom, choice, and opportunity. It's not about denying yourself pleasure. It's about prioritizing what truly enriches your future. The question is, what will you choose to own today? There's a simple but powerful truth that I want you to understand deeply. There's no real wealth without self-worth. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not just a catchy phrase or a feel-good idea. It's a principle that runs through every success story I've ever come across. The amount of money you earn, the opportunities that come knocking on your door, even the respect you command, all of these are directly connected to how much you believe in yourself. People are paid in direct proportion to their belief in themselves. If you don't believe in your own value, no one else will either. I remember when I was younger, I didn't always carry that confidence. I questioned whether I had what it took to rise above my circumstances. I had dreams, but I was often held back by doubt. I thought, who am I to ask for more? Who am I to start something new? Who am I to believe I deserve success? But slowly, through experience and a willingness to stretch beyond my comfort zone, I learned that confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. How do you build that confidence? It starts with small steps. You have to invest in yourself and your abilities. For me, that meant practicing public speaking even when my voice shook. It meant learning new skills, reading books, listening to mentors, and then sharing what I learned with others. Each of those little actions added a brick to my self-worth. And as my self-worth grew, so did my income, my opportunities, and my influence. Confidence isn't just about feeling good, it's a practical tool. When you truly believe in your own value, you negotiate better deals. You ask for what you're worth, and you don't settle for less. You attract people who respect and want to work with someone who carries themselves with certainty and purpose. Think about it this way. If you walk into a room with your head down, mumbling, "I'm not sure I can do this," how likely is it that others will trust you with important projects, partnerships, or opportunities? But when you stand tall, speak clearly, and show belief in yourself, doors begin to open. Let me share an example. Early in my career, I was given an opportunity to lead a workshop. I wasn't sure I was ready, but I decided to prepare thoroughly and show up as if I was the expert, even if inside I was uncertain. That one decision, to act the part, changed the trajectory of my life. People started seeing me as a leader, and more opportunities came my way. It all started with me investing in my own confidence. Now, I want you to take this practical step today. Build a confidence habit. It might sound simple, but it's effective. You could join a public speaking group, start teaching a skill, or even commit to setting a small daily goal that stretches you just a little bit. Each time you step outside your comfort zone, your self-worth grows a little more. And just like saving money in a bank, those increments add up over time. I've seen too many people with great ideas and talent fail to reach their potential simply because they didn't believe they were worthy of success. Don't let that be you. Remember, self-worth is the foundation on which all wealth is built. Without it, money is fleeting, opportunities pass you by, and you settle for less than you deserve. So, invest in yourself first. Cultivate your confidence with deliberate, consistent effort. Because when you believe in yourself, you start acting like a person who deserves to be wealthy, and that action brings the results. You can't separate the two. Wealth begins in the mind with the belief that you are worth it, and from there, everything else follows. Never forget, true wealth flows not just from what you have in your bank account, but from the strength and conviction within you. Build your self-worth and watch how the world responds. Think of every dollar you have as a soldier in your financial army. Each one has a purpose, a role to play, and a mission to accomplish. But here's the critical question. Are you deploying your soldiers wisely, or are you just letting them stand idle, doing nothing but gathering dust? Money sitting still, not working for you, is just paper. It's not creating value, not building anything, not growing your future. It's the same as having an army of soldiers who never leave the barracks. They're there, but they aren't winning any battles. From the early days of my journey, I learned this lesson the hard way. I used to save money by stuffing it under the mattress, thinking that just holding on to it was enough. But over time, I realized money must move, it must work, it has to be active, engaged, and disciplined. Money that sits idle loses value through inflation, opportunity cost, and missed growth. On the other hand, money that's put to work through wise investments or learning becomes your ally, growing and multiplying, creating new streams of income and opportunities. This idea isn't just about investing in stocks or businesses. It's about putting every dollar to work in ways that build your capacity and expand your wealth. Sometimes that means investing in your education, books, courses, mentorship. Other times, it's setting aside funds regularly into a diversified portfolio, a retirement fund, or even a small business venture. Every dollar should have a job, a responsibility, a clear task to fulfill. I remember when I first set up an automatic system to invest a portion of every paycheck without fail. It wasn't about timing the market or finding the perfect deal. It was about discipline and consistency. Over time, those small, regular investments grew into something much larger than I could have imagined. The key was automation, making the money work without me having to think about it constantly. So here's the practical step I want you to take today. Set up automatic investments. It could be into a mutual fund, stocks, bonds, or a business idea you believe in. If you're not sure where to start, begin with learning. Buy a book or enroll in a course that sharpens your financial knowledge. Remember, investing in yourself is the best investment you can make. The truth is, every dollar is a soldier in your personal financial army. If you fail to deploy it wisely, you're simply wasting resources that could have built your future. But when you give every dollar a purpose and a mission, you create a powerful force that works relentlessly for you, day and night, growing and multiplying your wealth quietly and steadily. Let your money work as hard as you do. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how smart you are with what you have. Deploy your financial soldiers wisely, and you'll build an army that secures your future and brings you peace of mind. Wealth is not a matter of luck or chance. It's not a coincidence that some people build lasting fortunes while others struggle to get by. You don't become wealthy by accident. The idea that wealth will simply fall into your lap one day, like a windfall or a lottery ticket, is a dangerous illusion. Real wealth is built on purpose, intention, and a plan that you design and commit to. When I was young, I remember watching people around me who dreamed of being rich, but never took a clear step toward that dream. They wished for abundance, but didn't make a plan. They hoped for opportunity, but didn't prepare themselves to seize it. I learned early on that hope without action is nothing more than wishing, and wishing is not a strategy. To build wealth, you must be purposeful. You must decide what path you want to take, and then dedicate yourself to it wholeheartedly. Purpose means knowing where you want to go, and understanding that the journey will require discipline, learning, and perseverance. Whether your path is building a business, investing wisely, or advancing your career, it requires commitment. You can't be a dabbling entrepreneur and expect to build wealth. You can't scatter your efforts across too many directions hoping something will stick. Wealth demands depth, not just breadth. When I began my own journey, I chose a clear direction. I decided to develop my skills, learn about investing, and grow steadily. I didn't jump from one idea to another, but rather I went deep into what I believed would build lasting value. This clarity gave me focus. It made every action count. Instead of being distracted by every shiny opportunity, I learned to say no to what didn't align with my purpose, and that made all the difference. So here's the practical step. Pick one wealth path. Choose whether you want to build a business, invest in assets, or excel in your career. Then dive deep. Study it, practice it, grow in it every single day. Make a commitment that you won't quit or get sidetracked. When you focus your energy, your time, and your resources on one clear path, wealth is no longer a distant dream, but a natural result of your effort. Remember, wealth is not accidental. It's a design, a path you create and follow with purpose. Build your plan, stick to it, and wealth will follow. We often think about wealth as something we must first grab, hold tightly, and protect. But the deeper truth is quite the opposite. To truly grow wealth, you must first give. Giving is not just about charity or kindness, though those are beautiful in their own right. It's about creating value for others before expecting value in return. Contribution always precedes multiplication. When you focus on how you can serve, how you can solve problems, how you can bring something meaningful to the table, wealth follows naturally, almost as a byproduct of your generosity. I've seen this principle unfold time and again in my own life and in the lives of those I've worked with. Early on, I was so focused on what I could get, what I could earn, that I neglected the idea of what I could give. It wasn't until I shifted my mindset to ask, how can I help? How can I add value? That doors began to open. When you genuinely contribute to the lives of others, whether by teaching, creating solutions, or simply sharing knowledge, you build trust, goodwill, and relationships. And those are the true foundations of lasting wealth. Think about it. The richest people you know didn't get there by hoarding. They became wealthy by providing products, services, and solutions that made other people's lives better. They found a problem and solved it. And every time you solve a problem for someone else, you create value that inevitably returns to you multiplied. Here's a practical step. Every day, ask yourself, how can I solve a problem today? What value can I add? It could be as simple as helping a colleague, teaching a skill, or improving a process. Then act on it. Make contribution a habit, not an afterthought. When you give first, your time, your knowledge, your energy, you set in motion a cycle where wealth grows from generosity. Remember, wealth is not just about accumulation. It's about creating value and giving first. Give, and then watch how your life grows. Time is not just a measure of your days, it is the currency of your life. And how you spend it makes all the difference between a rich life and a poor one. I often say, the difference between the rich and the poor is not always money, it's how they use their time. The wealthy guard their time like a precious resource, and they spend it with purpose, with precision. The poor often give it away to distractions, to things that entertain but don't advance. Let me tell you what I learned early on. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. Once a moment is gone, it's gone. And yet, how casually we throw our hours to the wind, mindlessly scrolling, indulging in things that offer little return. reacting instead of creating. You must begin to look at time the way an investor looks at money. Every hour should be measured by its return. Is it bringing you closer to your vision, your financial goals, your purpose? Or is it quietly pulling you further away? When I made the decision to move from scarcity to wealth, one of the first changes I made was not in my bank account, it was in my calendar. I started to audit my time like a business audits its expenses. I realized I was leaking time, hours spent in trivial conversations, mindless television, useless worry, and I made a commitment. I would take just 5 of those hours every week and reinvest them. I didn't need to overhaul my life overnight. I just needed to reclaim 5 hours. That small shift compounded over time. You don't need more time, you need more intention. The average person spends hours every week consuming content that has no bearing on their future. But imagine if you repurpose just 5 of those hours. 5 hours spent learning a new skill, reading a powerful book, building something of value. 5 hours devoted to crafting your future instead of escaping your present. Those hours stack up. 1 book becomes 10. 1 skill becomes a new income stream. 1 hour a day becomes 365 hours a year, a full work month. That's how wealth is built. Not in one grand leap, but in the slow, steady march of consistent improvement. Now here's a question you must ask yourself. Where's your time going? Pull out a sheet of paper, or better yet, your calendar, and look at the last 7 days. What did you do with your hours? Who had access to them? Were you investing them or just spending them? Were you moving forward or standing still? Don't just be busy. Be productive. A man can dig ditches all day and be busy, but that doesn't mean he's building wealth. Wealth comes from using time to create leverage, to gain insight, to multiply your effectiveness. The poor work for time, the rich let time work for them. That's the shift. And I'll tell you something else. This isn't about working longer. It's about working smarter. It's not about grinding endlessly. It's about aligning your time with your values. If something doesn't serve your growth, your family, your financial future, you've got to question its place in your schedule, because every yes to distraction is a no to destiny. So here's your challenge. Do a time audit this week. Take a cold, honest look at how you're spending your hours. Find 5 hours you're wasting, and you will find them, and reinvest them. Learn something new. Start that side hustle. Call that mentor. Read that book. Build that plan. Don't wait until you have more time. You won't. Use the time you have better. Time is the great equalizer. We all get the same 24 hours, but it's not how much you get, it's how well you use what you've been given. Wealthy people aren't luckier. They're just more intentional with their time. They don't let it drift. They direct it. They command it. They shape it like clay into the life they want. And so must you. Because at the end of the day, you don't just spend time, you invest it. And like any investment, your return depends on your decision. Let me leave you with something to think about. Something that may follow you home tonight. Sit beside you in the quiet hours and whisper when the distractions fade. The life you're living right now is not just a result of your circumstances, it's a result of your routines. And those routines are not simply habits of behavior, they are habits of thinking. Poverty isn't just a lack of money, it's a lack of perspective, a lack of structure, a lack of intention. Wealth, on the other hand, starts long before the bank balance. It starts in the daily decisions, the quiet disciplines, the subtle choices that accumulate like compound interest. You see, the future doesn't get better by hope. The future gets better by plan. And a plan gets built through routine, daily steps in the right direction. Success is not a race, it's a rhythm. And your rhythm either pushes you forward or holds you back. Every day you wake up, You are either moving closer to the life you desire or drifting further from it. There is no standing still. Time keeps moving, and you must decide whether it will carry you or bury you. But let me offer you something empowering. The choice is yours. No one is coming to design your life for you. No one is going to install millionaire routines into your calendar. No one is going to force you to read, to rise early, to invest wisely, to plan your day, to think intentionally. That's your job. That's your power. That's the gift of being human. You get to choose. You can choose today to build a new rhythm. You can begin, even in a small way, to structure your days differently, to shift your thoughts from scarcity to possibility, from distraction to discipline. You can become someone who acts rather than reacts, someone who designs rather than drifts, someone who trains for wealth rather than merely hopes for it. And if you will do that, if you will commit not to perfection but to consistency, then time becomes your partner. Progress becomes your ally. And wealth becomes the byproduct, not just the goal. You don't have to get it all right today, but you do have to get something right today. Maybe that's just waking up earlier tomorrow. Maybe that's canceling one wasteful subscription. Maybe it's starting that book or joining that group or writing down the financial vision that's been living in your head for years. But do something. Start the wheel turning. Because here's what I know. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. And the tragedy of life is not that it's short, it's that too many people waste it doing things that don't matter, thinking thoughts that don't serve them, following routines that lead them nowhere. Don't be one of them. You were built for more, but that more must be built by you. Don't just take notes, take steps. Don't just admire the ideas, apply them. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create momentum. Because wealth doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to work. The quiet work. The boring work. The early morning, late evening, no one's watching kind of work. That's where wealth is born, in the furnace of routine. And those routines, if designed with wisdom and lived with purpose, will do more than make you rich. They'll make you proud. Now here's the call. Choose your new routine. Not a fantasy routine, but a real one. Something you can live, build, and grow. Write it down, commit to it, share it with someone. Wake up tomorrow and follow it. Then do it again and again. Stack the days. String them together like pearls. Soon you'll look back and realize you don't just have better habits, you have a better life. So take the first step, then take the next, and keep walking. Because rich routines, not riches, are what make you wealthy. Let the journey begin.